Welder Rodney Davis is suing his former friend, meat cutter Rick Spruill, for the balance on a truck and for a false arrest. Rick says Rodney threatened to break his kneecaps.
Yeah, this is case number 542 on the calendar in the matter of Davis versus Spruill. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Mr. Davis, the defendant is your former wife's cousin.
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
And you made the mistake of selling him a used truck. We don't do that with family. It's really pretty stupid because it's always trouble. You claim that you sold him the truck, I believe, for $3,500. He paid you $2,500. He was supposed to pay you the rest, and he didn't.
No, he did not.
So when you started to call him and wanted your money, he filed false charges against you, according to you, of telephone harassment, and you were arrested and had expenses. So you are suing him for two things. First, the balance owed on the truck, plus interest, because you agreed, according to you, to $200 in interest on the additional $1,000 that he owed, and the money that you spent and your aggravation as a result of these false harassment charges. Now, Mr. Spruill says that you were angry with him after you sold him your truck because he introduced your now ex-wife to her current present husband. And you got very angry with him. And then you told him you wanted more money for the truck. And you started to call him on the phone. And he filed these charges against you because they were true.
Correct.
When did you sell him the truck?
March of 2004, right around this time last year.
You have a bill of sale?
No, I do not, Your Honor.
Why not?
Considering the fact that it was based on family word, we took it upon that, and did the lousy mistake of not having one wrote up.
All right. March of 2004, he took possession of the truck?
Yes, ma'am.
And did he have the title to the truck?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when for the first time did you call him and ask him for more money?
Approximately 1 month after I was having issues with my ex-wife.
Why don't you answer my question, Mr. Davis? When did you call him and tell him you wanted more money?
Approximately a month after I sold him the truck.
So in April. And what did you say to him when you called him in April?
I told him I needed the money. I did not appreciate what was going on between him and his litigations of owing me the money.
Well, according to you, when was he supposed to pay you the rest of the money?
Tax time this year when he received his refund.
So he had another year?
Yes, Your Honor.
So when you called him a month after he took possession of the truck, even according to you, that was not your contract?
No, it was not.
So you called him and you were angry?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what did you say to him when you called him?
This is on the 9th of July. I left him a message of how I thought of him through the whole allegation of everything.
Well, what did you say?
I told him I needed the money. I did not appreciate what he has done, trying to mediate between me and my ex-wife.
Mr. Davis is having some difficulty coming up with exactly what the message was. Mr. Spruill, you want to tell me what he said?
He said he would break my kneecap with a tire iron.
That's a lie. I told him I would meet him halfway.
Told him to meet him halfway for what?
From all the threats that I have received from him, Mr. Spruill himself.
What threats did you receive from him?
I received threats from him of signing over my parental rights to my son, to his wife's cousin, and to never see him again.
Well, what do you mean threats? I don't hear a threat. You want to tell me what the threat was?
I'm not seeing my son ever again. I'm never paying the amount owed against the pickup.
Who is this?
This is my mother.
You're making it up as you're going along, Mr. Davis?
No, ma'am, I am not.
Yeah, you are. Now, when you said to him, according to you, I'll meet you halfway, I don't know what that means.
I was upset during that day because I missed a court date with my ex-wife.
You missed a court date?
I was not notified properly. I moved away from my address. The court sent the papers to that address. I was not there, and I was not informed of the court date.
Did you have an attorney?
No, I did not.
What was the court date for, Mr. Davis?
Child support.
Did they enter a support order?
Yes, they did, Your Honor.
For how much?
$255 a month. The actual court order is $225 for my son. Rearages of $1,742.
Okay, so you have an order that you didn't pay?
Yes, yes, I did.
Well, $225 a month is not an unusually high support order, Mr. Davis. Why were you upset?
I had a previous relationship, and I'm paying an enormous amount of money for my daughter.
Well, what are you mad at your ex-wife for? She's not getting an enormous amount of money. She's getting $50 a week. What were you annoyed at them for? You were just generally annoyed.
Generally annoyed to the fact that what has happened, Mr. Screville was trying to mediate between us as I try to reconcile and get back with my ex-wife.
She didn't want to get back with you.
No, she did not.
Got to be a reason.
There was a reason.
So after he told you he was going to break your kneecaps with a tire iron, you called the police?
Correct.
You have a police report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please. Mr. Davis, you have 2 children?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, according to the police report, your former wife says that you were upset with the defendant because you hold him responsible for breaking up the marriage. However, in all fairness, your ex-wife did say that she didn't think that you would carry out those threats.
I would not. I admit I was...
Shh, just a second. Well, you admitted to the police, Mr. Davis, that you told the defendant that you'd break his other leg if he didn't pay you. And you also said that you knew that you shouldn't have threatened him and that you had no intention of carrying out the threat. So you admitted to the police that you threatened bodily harm to the defendant. So you cannot sue him for filing false charges against you. He doesn't have to interpret whether or not you meant it or not, or whether you had a bad day. You have to keep your temper.
Understood, Your Honor.
Good. So that part of your complaint is dismissed. Now let's get to the truck. I read your answer very carefully. Your answer says that you gave Mr. Davis another $1,000.
Yes.
When?
I sent him another $1,000 on 1/22 of 05.
Can I see the check, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you send him the check?
Because he threatened to bring my father-in-law into the lawsuit with this letter that he sent to my father-in-law.
I'd like to see it.
And I just wanted to keep the peace.
Why didn't you take his check, sir?
That was not agreed upon. $1,200 was agreed upon by this time.
No, sir. That wasn't your agreement, Mr. Davis. Your agreement, according to you, was that he would give you the other $1,000 plus $200 interest by tax time 2005. That's what you told me. He was paying you early. Isn't that what you told me? You want to say something? For what?
Because I'm the reason that he sent the check back, because I thought it was wrong. He should have been $1,200.
Why don't you just keep it zipped?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Rodney Davis says former friend Rick Spruill owes for the balance on a truck and for having him falsely arrested.
You're supposed to be a peacemaker, not a troublemaker. Peacemaker, not a troublemaker. Your son has a little bit of a temper and he's going through a very difficult time. He made 2 babies. He's got to support them. It's very hard to take care of 3 families when you're one person. He felt as if everything was piling on him, and he went through a very bad period in his life. And what you're not supposed to do is exacerbate it if you're his mother. And if you're the reason that he sent back this $1,000 check because you thought it should have been $1,200, you're not a very smart mother.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Here.
Right.
I felt it was wrong that Rick got the truck for half of what it was worth. We went through a really hard year with all this telephone harassment. I know Rick and Rod's ex-wife called our house when he was staying there lots of times.
What does that have to do with sending back the check and being a troublemaker?
Okay, so if he gets the truck for half of what it's worth...
No. Your son made a deal. Your son made a contract. He's an adult. He's not 16 years old. He's a grown man who made 2 babies. Now, there's a piece of me that believes him that he made an agreement to sell this truck for $3,500, and maybe he made the agreement to, if he wasn't paid up in 6 months, he was going to charge him an extra $200 in interest. In any event, the whole matter could have been resolved because he gave him a check for $1,000, and he gave him the check for $1,000 before the amount was due. He gave him the check in January, and he wasn't supposed to pay him until April. That's what your son just told me. So, you're supposed to be a peacemaker, not a troublemaker. You're supposed to say, listen, take the check, put a period.
I should have.
Let's try to make peace. I have a grandchild that I want to be able to see. I have a baby that I don't want to lose. Instead of being a troublemaker. Now you get it? Good. Just do me a favor. Give him the check. He can I suggest, Mr. Davis, that you cash it.
Yes,
Because
ma'am.
that's all you're getting.
Understood.
Perfect. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The most frustrating part about it is he lied and he got away with it.
I think he's upset about the family, the loss of his family.
I just hope issues can be resolved.
Let's hope this is the end of it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Escobedo versus Dodd, step forward, please.
Administrative assistant Lisa Escobedo is suing her former friend, social worker Mary Dodd, for loans to buy a truck and to hire an attorney. Mary claims she paid Lisa back.
Miss Escobedo, you and Miss Dodd used to be very good friends.
Yes,
Your lawsuit has two parts to it. First, you say that you took out a loan for a truck that was her truck.
Correct.
She didn't have good credit. The arrangement was she would make the payments faithfully, and as soon as the payments were completed, the title, etc., would be turned over to her. And that was a couple of years ago.
Yes.
She did make the payments faithfully until just recently.
Correct.
And then she stopped making payments on the truck. You repossessed the truck, and now you want her to pay what is the balance owed on the truck.
Not entirely. I mean, because it's $12,000, and it's only small claims court. But actually, that's the debt that I was left with. Absolutely.
The second part of your lawsuit claims a loan to her for an attorney.
Correct.
And Ms. Dodd says with regard to that part of the loan, she does acknowledge that there was a loan.
Yes,
and she said that she faithfully paid you, I think, $100 a month.
Yeah, $100.
Which I assume you're going to be able to demonstrate to me.
Yes, Your Honor, I have checks.
And that the loan is paid off.
Yes.
So let's deal with the easy part first. Let's deal with the loan for an attorney. When did you make that loan?
April 2nd of 2003.
And how much was that loan?
$1,195.64.
Okay, so I want to see from you checks in the amount of $1,195.64 for the attorney.
There was actually one check that wasn't faxed to me from the bank.
Are these in order?
You know what? I think I did put them in order, but I think there's one or two missing in that pile.
Well, there are several months missing. You have $1,000 in payments.
That's pretty accurate as to what I thought I'd owed her, being that I stopped paying, the last payment was in August, and I thought we were done at that time, and nothing is said until I get served this that I still owe her. And several months goes by, and she hasn't...
Well, let me ask you this question, Ms. Dodd. Let's say on the attorney's fees alone you owe a couple of $100.
Okay.
All right? Now, let's deal with the truck. What was the total purchase price of the truck?
I don't know the exact amount. I know what's owed.
How much was the truck?
It was approximately almost $10,000.
And how much is the loan?
Your Honor, I'm just telling you, I just paid $5,000 on it, and there's still $7,000 owed. So it was not $10,000 when she bought it.
That was the purchase price, but with the interest, it makes the price. It doesn't seem like it ever goes down.
Well, why are you sticking her with that obligation?
It's not that I'm sticking her with that
Yes, you are. You are.
Back in November, when I was released from work, I made the payment in November faithfully with what was my final check. In December, well, I had found out I was pregnant and taken off permanently for work, and then I decided to go on disability. I tried to make it...
Did you buy another vehicle?
We purchased another vehicle, yes.
Who's we?
My husband and I.
Well,
But that was done...
Just a second. How could you purchase another vehicle?
That was done before all of this even happened.
You're paying on another vehicle unless you
That was
paid
my
for...
responsibility. Yes, it was. I paid on that vehicle. We purchased another vehicle because my husband has a job, and he purchased another vehicle prior to all of this happening.
Miss Dodd, that's not fair. You assumed another responsibility, you and your husband, knowing that you had a prior responsibility to her to pay for this older truck. What year vehicle did you purchase?
2004 Excursion.
So you purchased a brand new car, and what were your payments on the brand new car?
His payments are...
What are the payments?
His payments are $673.
What do you mean his payments? You don't live together?
Yeah, we live together. But
All right, $673. And what were your payments on this car?
$366. But I had no intention to give up the white truck. I intended to keep it, hopefully give it to my son when he finished high school. There was no intention to just say, here, I bought a new truck, I'm giving you this one back. That's not what I was going to do.
What did she say to you?
She called me the day they purchased the truck and told me she needed the account number or my social security number because they were going to trade the truck in. Then the next day she called me and said that they bought the truck anyways.
Just a second, they were going to trade the truck in.
Correct, but and then the next day she said they didn't trade it in. They purchased the truck, the Excursion, but they didn't trade it in because they only wanted to give her $4,000 on a trade-in because it's a hunk of junk now, and so they didn't want it, and they were still $12,000 owed. So they went and bought the truck anyways. Now they had, and when I asked her what she was going to do with the truck, the white truck, she said we're going to have to make the payments on both. We don't have a choice.
And did she make payments on both the next month?
No.
I made the payment in November for that truck, and I paid the registration on that truck with the intent to keep the truck. Yeah, I did want to try to see if I could trade it in because I have a little car at home. But when they said no, well, you know, I wanted to get her name off of everything entitled with me.
Well, why didn't you do that?
They wouldn't give me what the truck was worth, and I thought, okay, I'll keep it. Why not? That's what my intention was.
So?
So I did. And I made the payment faithfully in November. I paid the registration on it.
And what happened in December?
I found out at the end of November that I was not going to be returning to work, and I had no income to pay. And I even attempted to sell it, and she wouldn't let me. She said she just couldn't do that right now because it was going to be taken over by a family member she knows that's very responsible. And he would put it in his name, but to give him a couple weeks, and so she did, and I understand that. That was fine. I don't have a problem with that.
You're making a whole lot of double talk from you. Bottom line is, you didn't pay it. It's not her fault you got pregnant. It's not her fault you went on disability. It's not her fault that you and your husband decided to buy a more expensive new truck. It's not her fault. It's your fault. Stop making all of these sounds which suggests that somebody held you down when you became pregnant, that somebody held your hand to a piece of paper or his hand to a piece of paper when you bought a brand new Excursion truck. It's not somebody else's responsibility. It's yours.
My intentions were to keep the truck.
You could keep it, but you didn't pay for it in December.
Well, that's when everything took a turn. I was intending to go back to work.
Just a second, what kind of turn?
I was intending to go back to work. In the end of January, I lost my baby, and a week later, I lost my mother. I wasn't ready to go back to work.
Is there just a second? Is it her fault you lost your baby?
No, it's not.
Is it her fault you lost your mother?
No, it's not. But I can't.
Then why didn't you pay for the truck? Did you pay for the Excursion?
He pays for his Excursion.
You do live together, don't you?
Yeah, but he is entitled to own a vehicle as well.
She don't want to be a friend anymore.
Exactly.
It's a very good. It's a very good thing
exactly what she said to me.
Because she lacks reasonable moral fiber.
You're absolutely right, Your Honor.
She lacks a sense of duty and responsibility and what's right and what's wrong. Get out your address book. Erase her name.
Please do.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Step out.
It's kind of upsetting, but Judge Judy's right. We don't need to be friends because somebody who sleeps with everybody's friends and the boss's boyfriend is not the kind of person I want to socialize with.
I helped her out, and then when it wasn't convenient and suitable to her, that was, she no longer needed me anymore.
We were friends, but I put up with a friend that's just really dirty and evil and has a black heart.
When I did the things for her that I did them out of the goodness of my heart and out of faith and friendship, so I wouldn't take that back. But I learned a lesson that I wouldn't do it again.
Miss Escobedo has a tendency to not allow people to be happy. And when people are happy, it irritates her.
It's better off done. I mean, she's proved that, by not being a friend.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Reed versus Loft. Step forward, please.
27-year-old healthcare aide Lisa Reed is suing her former friend, house cleaner Barbara Loth, for breaking her toilet when she sat on it.
Miss Reed, the defendant used to be a friend of yours. She was visiting you, and according to your complaint, she went into the bathroom and she broke your toilet. She cracked it. You want her to pay for it.
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
How many times had she been to your house before?
A whole bunch.
You may step out.
She was drunk when she went in the bathroom. I heard her fall on the toilet. I think she should pay for it.
It's New Jersey, it's the landlord, and everybody's trying to make us pay for everything.
I had to clean up the water with the towels.
Just because you're a big person doesn't mean that, you have to be the responsibility of everything that breaks in life.
I waited 2 weeks to get the toilet repaired. During that time, I was using my neighbor's bathroom, going up and stairs to the bathroom.
God bless chubby women.
Property manager Young Lee is suing his ex-girlfriend, 23-year-old receptionist Kristen Beck, for a loan to fix her car and for the return of his 92 Acura. Kristen is countersuing, claiming Young vandalized her car during a fight.
Yeah, this is case number 516 on the calendar in the matter of Lee versus Beck. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat.
Mr. Lee, the defendant was your girlfriend for a while, and you claimed some loans to her for car repairs. And in addition to the loan for car repairs, you say that you loaned her a car of yours, and she refuses to return it.
Yes, Your Honor.
You want the car back.
Yes.
The defendant says that you fixed her car because you always insisted on making sure that her car was in running order. There was never any discussion of her paying you back for fixing her car. And that you, in fact, gave her this car. And she is counterclaiming because she says that after she broke up with you, you broke up with him?
He broke up with me. And also...
Just a second. That you came to the house, to her house, and you disabled her car, which you claim is your car, and she wants the money that she had to spend or will have to spend to put it back into running condition. So how long was this lovely relationship that you enjoyed, Mr. Lee?
Year and a half. But I think we broke up like 3-4 times in between.
The natural course of events, Mr. Lee. When did you loan her this car?
First of all, she had her own car, and this car was keep on breaking down. She had no money, so that's what I do. I fix car. That's, you know, my side job. So she has her car. She's always breaking down. Sometimes she helps me pick up my daughter. She has a daughter on her own, and this car is like unsafe. So I keep on spending money on it. I spent $500 one time because her water pump went out, so we did the timing belt, everything. I have the receipt. Then maybe like a month later, her alternator goes out. I fixed it. She said she's going to pay me the money. I said, I spent $500 on your car. Well, I'm going to go to my mom and get some money. I'll pay you back. She goes to her mother's house, come back with $40. Here's 40. I'm like, I spent 500 for... You know, she had no job, so I told her, when you get a job, pay me.
Did you live together?
No.
So she was doing you a favor?
Well, one night I told her, you spend the night.
Just a second. That doesn't answer my question, Mr. Lee. Uncross your hand. She was doing you a favor by picking up your daughter.
Yes.
And you didn't want your daughter to drive in a car that was unsafe, I assume.
Yes. And plus,
Is that right?
she had no job. I was paying her rent.
And
I
you
was
were-
supporting her.
Just a second. You were paying her rent where she was living. How much was her rent every month?
$500 a month.
And how many times did you pay her rent?
I think I paid 3 times.
When?
2004.
When in 2004? Before or after you loaned her money to fix her car?
After. No, right around that time. June, May, I think it was August, I don't know.
All right. May, June, August, certainly after March, after you loaned her money to fix her car.
Yes.
And did she promise to pay you back the rent money too?
No. Because she was helping me picking up my daughter, so she had no job, so I was helping her out on that. Is there something?
Shh. Shh. Are you working now?
Yes. Oh, no, not anymore. I just lost my job last week.
That's what I'm asking you. Are you working now?
No.
Was my question.
I'm not.
Well, your arrangement with her was that she would pay you back when she got a job. She's not working.
She never worked. I got her that job.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you, sir? Even if I believe you that they were loans, and I'm not so sure that they were loans, because you and the defendant had an intimate relationship, you were paying her rent, you were supporting her, and I cannot imagine that there was an expectation that she was supposed to pay you back the few $100s that you were spending to fix her car, especially since that was your business to fix cars. Now, let's get to this car that you say belongs to you, that you merely loaned to her. Tell me about that. When did you loan her your car, and what kind of car did you loan to her?
It's a 92 Acura Integra.
And when did she take possession of it?
June.
And tell me about how she took possession of the car.
She didn't take possession. She had a car, her car, always breaking down, that she had no money to fix, that I was fixing all the time. She said she'd pay me back, but she had no job, so she couldn't pay me back.
That's right. So we're not taking care of that. That took care of the loan.
So I bought this car because it was a good deal. I fixed it up. I was going to sell it. But since her car's always breaking down, I told her, here, why don't you drive this for a while? But the tranny's not so good, so in 2 years, I want to sell it before the tranny goes out.
Just a second. So here's this 1992 car. You can use it. But in 2 years, you have to give it back to me because the transmission's going to go out, and I want to sell it before the transmission goes out. Is that what he just said to me?
That's what he just said to me.
All right. So you gave her the car. Did you also give her the title to the car?
No, because she crashed her car with my daughter in it. Her driving is not good, so I don't want to be lend it to her, but I don't want to be reliable. So I bought the car, registration, I pay for it, insurance.
Just a second. I'm asking you a question, and you're going to give me an answer.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Young Lee says ex-girlfriend Kristen Beck owes for a loan to fix her car. Young also claims Kristen won't return his car.
Was the car registered in her name?
Yes. But the pink
and
slip...
the car is titled in her name?
Yes. But she signed it. I have the pink slip. She signed it over to me.
Show me everything.
Show you what?
Show me the pink slip where she signed it over to you.
You're not letting me finish my story.
I'm asking you questions, Mr.
I had
Lee.
the pink slip. She wanted to see the pink slip. So I gave it to... Well, I didn't give it to her. I went over to her house, gave the land... She wasn't there, so I gave it to landlord. You know what? Every time we're breaking up, she comes back saying sorry. I think it's for the car she's coming back. Because every time we broken up, she gave me the car back. 3 times I took the car back. Okay? But she always come back, sorry, sorry. And she wants the car back. So I'm thinking, this relationship is all about the car. That's what... It is about the car because she sold her car.
You may be right. You may be right.
She sold her car for $1,000. I told her that she's trying to give me $500, the car that she sold. She sold it for $1,000. $500, she's trying to give it to me.
Did you take the $500?
No.
Well, why didn't you take the $500? Because according to you, she owed you a lot more money from the car repairs.
Because I don't know what she was giving me that $500 for. I said, what's this $500? Is this the money that you owe me from the car and all the money that I spent, you know, like rent, everything? And she said, no, this money is, I sold my car, so I'm giving you $500 because you bought me a car. I'm like, wait a minute. I told you this the second time. I didn't give you that car. I lent it to you.
You did.
I did.
You did give
because I have the pink slip.
She has the registration. Car's registered.
She has the
in her
registration,
name?
but I have the pink slip.
Is the car registered in your name?
Yes, it is.
Do you have registration for the car?
You know, I don't. I have the registration.
Can I see it, please?
It's been under my name ever since the beginning, and he never.
Let me just see it. Mr. Lee, you should have taken the $500, sir.
Your Honor.
Should have taken the $500.
500.
June 10th, 2004, the car was registered in her name.
It was never in my name. It was the person that I bought it. It was his name. I never even put it in my name because I'm still working on it. After I'm done with it, I was going to sell it, but I lent it to her. So I told her, put it in your name, but when the pink slip comes, sign it. I have the pink slip already signed to me.
Show me.
Okay? Then later on, she wanted the pink slip. I gave it to her landlord. Then she wanted to break up, whatever. We got into a fight, okay? I wanted my car back. You want to break up? Fine. I want my car back. She didn't want to give it to me. Okay? Give me the pink slip. She said, my landlord has it. Why does your landlord has my pink slip?
You just told me you gave it to her landlord.
I gave it to the landlord, but she's supposed to give it to her. But she's saying she never did. And I have my witness here.
Not interested in your witness, Mr. Lee. The relationship didn't work out. The rent that you paid voluntarily.
Fine. I'm not asking for the rent.
Just a second. Well, just a second. But 2 seconds ago you said to me, what are you giving me this $500 for? I paid your rent. I paid your car expenses. What is this $500 for? The rent, the car expenses? Listen, it didn't work out. How old are you?
39.
How old are you?
23.
So there's a 16-year age difference between the two of you. She's a pretty girl. You liked her. She was helpful with your child. I'm not saying that she didn't take advantage of you. Maybe she did. But if the worst she did to you was take advantage of you for a 1992 car, I suggest
Your
to you,
Honor,
Mr. Lee, you gotta. I suggest to you, Mr. Lee, you have to get over it.
No, excuse me, Your Honor. Okay? The car is mine. I lent it to her. I have witness. Okay? I put it in her name. We got into a huge fight. I want my car back. She put a restraining order on me because
Get over it, sir. Get over it. Did you go? That's all. Case dismissed. Put him outside. Listen to me. Your countersuit's dismissed. I suggest you get security out there for them.
I wasn't surprised what happened in there. I kind of knew he would have done something to upset her. It was out of despite of the restraining order. Because, you know, like, I had this on him, so he just wanted to, because I want to get back with him.
Personal trainer Raymond DiNardo for misrepresenting the sale of an Incredible Hulk comic book on eBay. Raymond claims James got what he paid for.
Quiet in the courtroom, please. Yeah, this is case number 510 on the calendar in the matter of Lovegren versus DiNardo. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Lovegren, according to your complaint, you did what a lot of other people are doing these days, and you bought something off the internet. What you bought was what you thought was a rare comic book, rare and valuable comic book, from Mr. DiNardo, who would put it on the internet. You paid him the money, and when you got the comic book, it turned out to be, according to you, not what you had bargained for. Mr. DiNardo says you got exactly what you bargained for. He sent you the comic book that he had, in fact, advertised on eBay or what? Correct, ma'am. What kind of comic book was this, Mr. London?
Your Honor, this is an Incredible Hulk comic book, number 181. To collectors, it's a rare comic. It introduces a major character from Marvel Comics, the Wolverine, which means nothing except to a comic collector. It makes it very desirable.
You're interested in this? All right, let me see the advertisement, please. They put it up on the internet. Somebody puts it on, so I have this for sale. Okay. This says, Mr. DiNardo, and I just want to know if you put this up on the internet. 9.9, the rare, mint, sought-after original. Bidding has ended for this item. Starting bid, $1,200. And then the description. I am looking for a good new home for my issue of the Incredible Hulk, number 181. This book has given me years of enjoyment. I can only hope the new owner gives this treasure the respect and caring it deserves. Oh, yeah.
Obviously, I'm a novice. I'm not a professional. He's...
Okay, no. Listen to me.
Okay.
All I want to know, sir, is this what you put on the machine? On
that is one
on the computer.
That is one of the items I put on the machine.
Okay.
Not the one that we consummated for price on.
Well, just a second. We're not there yet, sir.
Okay. I'm just clarifying.
No, you're not clarifying at all. You're going to listen to me. You're going to answer my questions, because in the unlikely event that you think that because I don't know a computer from a hole in the wall,
never said that.
You're going to be able to fool, and I don't know a computer from the hole in the wall, but I do know legitimate versus scam. That's what I do know.
There was no scam.
Listen to me, sir. He sent you $1,200? No. How much did he send you?
$1,500.
Okay, so there was a bidding on this.
No, he had called me behind eBay's back, which is against the law.
Okay, so he called, just a second, so he contacted you.
Correctly. After I've took that off.
What was the date he contacted you?
I think it was November 15th.
Is that when you contacted him?
It would have been the 13th. I probably sent him an email.
Okay, what did you say in the email?
The email basically would say, I see your comic did not sell, and I asked if the book was still available. He sent me an email on November 12th.
Can I see it, please?
The book is still available, and it's got his phone number on it.
So you called him?
Yes. I called him, and it was probably the 15th that we got together on the phone.
Okay, called him, he called you, whatever. You got together on the 15th. And did you make a deal for this comic book?
Yes, and I asked him, one, because I can see the picture of that book is a CD comic. A comic like that comes encased in a clear plastic case. It's sealed in here. It is not counterfeitable. It has a barcode. It's registered with the company that grades it.
That's one that you got. That's not this one.
Right. That's just a sample comic, just to show you what it is. I asked him when I talked to him, now this is a CGC graded book at 9.9. He said it was. I said, and you have the receipt for that? And he said he did. That convinced me we were dealing with the real thing.
Okay.
We agreed on a price of $1,500 then, and I wanted to try and pick it up the next day. I called him back.
Because you realized, sir, if you made this deal for $1,500, that was an incredible bargain.
Yes.
Because the value of it was how much?
I figured it could be worth $20,000.
Okay. So you thought that you had some dumb guy who didn't know what he had.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
It happens.
I know it happens. There are a lot of dumb people out there.
Right, and I'm one of them because
right.
I sent them the money.
Because you got a piece of junk and he's got your $1,500.
Right, exactly. Yep.
Go ahead.
So anyway, I tried to call him back an hour later because I had to arrange to. We're 6 hours away.
Let me ask you a question. Cut to the chase. You sent him the $1,500.
I wanted to drive up there and pick it up. That way, I give you the money, I got the book. It didn't happen. Due to my job and maybe his, I don't know, we couldn't get together. On the 22nd, he called up and talked to my wife. He said that he was going to send the comic down to us. If I liked it, I could send him the money. I said, well, that's an incredibly generous offer. On the 25th, we got a call back that said his wife wouldn't let him send the book. Because not without it being paid for.
Sure. Right?
Can't blame
a lot
that.
of scammers out there.
Shh.
Sorry.
During that conversation, I said, well, I believed he had this book, that it was a 9.9 graded book. We arranged to wire the money, and that cost $109 actually, plus the $20 shipping.
Still would be nothing if you could sell it for 20 grand.
Absolutely. And I got to tell you, my wife is sitting there, and you're thinking I'm a nut and stuff, but I don't spend $1,500 on a comic. I never have. In this case, I would, and the only way my wife would let me do that was I said, look, I sell the comic, you keep the money. So anyway, I proceeded to wire Ray the money.
Sounds like she's the only one who's got a brain here.
Yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Raymond DiNardo, when he bought an Incredible Hulk comic book from him on eBay.
You wired the money, he sent you the comic book, and it wasn't what you thought it was.
What it is just a strictly graded, and I could consider myself a professional grader. This book grades very good to fine condition. On a scale of 1 to 10, the 9.9 is on a scale of 10. This is about a 5.5. Its value is about $300.
And so you contacted him immediately and he said, send me my money back.
Yeah, I said, I don't know,
When you put this 9.9 comic book on eBay, did you or did you not own it at the time you put it on eBay?
I did not.
Right. How can you offer to sell something that you didn't own?
Because I was supposed to own it by the end of the bidding time, but that deal fell through. So that's where the problem is.
That's a big problem.
Correct.
You can't put something on eBay that you don't own.
Why can't I?
Why? Because that's
Dealerships
like
put
that.
cars on eBay that are on consignment. They technically do not own the vehicle.
Having something on consignment, sir, is having a legitimate right to sell it.
Okay.
You don't have a legitimate right to offer something for sale that you don't own.
Okay.
And they just so happen to say, I will sell you this 9.9, and it happened to be the same comic book that you had that was that one, right? Same comic book, different condition, right?
Correct.
Karnak. What are the statistical probabilities of one schlepper who knows nothing about comic books having a nexus to two of the same comic books, The Incredible Hulk, at the same moment in history, and putting them on eBay at the same moment in history, one that's worth $300 and one that's worth $20,000? One in 10 million? More than that. One in, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to my friend over here. One in 20 million?
Probably more than that.
So now I want you, Mr. DiNardo, to reduce what Bird, who is a very conservative man, by the way, has calculated at a 1 in 20 million plus probability of you having your hands on the same two magazines at the same moment in history when he wanted to buy it. Reduce that for me. Okay.
Actually, it was a week apart, but I had no idea that somebody that had sold so many comic books would think that he would be getting a $1,500 comic book that was sold for $20,000. It just did. I assumed that he talked was talking about the comic book that I originally had sold. It just doesn't make any sense that he would think, oh, okay, this comic book I'm getting for $1,500, and I'm going to make $18,000 off of that. Does that make any sense? It doesn't. He went behind eBay's back, which is illegal.
Just a second, did you hang up the phone on him?
No, I did not. But he's already admitted
Listen to me.
Malice.
Listen to me. No, he just thought you were a schlemiel.
Uh-oh.
He just thought you were a schlemiel. He didn't realize that you were a scam artist. There's a difference between being a schlemiel and a scam artist. Let's say you go into somebody's house that's having a tag sale and you see this comic book in a big old bin of junk that they say, listen, you can buy the whole barrel of stuff for $10. She says, I'm spending $10. This is worth $20,000. That's how a lot of people get paintings and wonderful pieces of antique stuff, because one man's treasure is another man's junk. You see, me, I wouldn't pay a quarter for this because it just doesn't appeal to me, right? Your wife wouldn't pay a quarter for this unless you told her you'd give her the profit, because she's just not interested. But what you did, sir, you see the statistical probabilities of you auctioning off around the same time two of the exact same magazines and one of the ads, putting down here. You have the other ad, by the way?
No, I don't.
No, you don't. You don't. Why wouldn't you have the other ad?
Because I moved and the computer.
Because you moved. Where?
It's on eBay.
Listen to me. Listen to me, sir. Move on this.
Okay.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,500. That's all.
Can I have the comic book back?
All these are excused. You missed up.
Can I have the comic book back?
You may not.
Okay, thank you. Well, I had a client at work that was willing to sell me the book for $3,000.
I was told there is only one in existence. It's owned by a comic shop in Hawaii. Its asking price is $50,000.
Never sold a comic book, never used the eBay before, never sold or bought, and will probably not again.
It's all scam.
Mary Bankston is suing her ex-boyfriend, mechanic Weldon Hultgren, for charges he made on her credit card. Mary says she took Weldon in after he was released from prison.
Now, this is case number 474 on the calendar in the matter of Bankston versus Hultgren. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Bankston, who are these people?
This is April Hultgren, Bo's daughter, and my fiancé, Randy.
And who is this?
It's my fiancé, Tara Harris.
Everybody brings a fiancé. What do they have to do with this case? Anything?
She's seen some stuff and heard some stuff, and other than that, that's about it.
Okay. According to what I read, Miss Bankston, he used to be a friend of yours or a boyfriend of yours?
He used to live with me.
Live with you as a boyfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
And then he went to jail?
No, ma'am. He lived with me after he came out of jail.
What year did you go to jail, sir?
In January '92.
And how old was April in 1992?
7.
Who did she live with?
When I was in jail, she was living with my mom and my dad.
What happened with that?
They died.
When did they die?
In '96, my dad died, and in '98, my mom died.
What happened in 1998?
She went to live with a friend of mine for a little while, and her mother come got her. After that, Mary went and got her out of a motel room.
How old was she at the time, Miss Bankston?
She was 13 when I took her.
How did you find her in a motel room?
She called me and told me she wanted something she hadn't eaten in a few days, and I took her something to eat. And when I got to the motel, it was a bad place for her to be. And so I took her with me, and I raised her until he got out.
When did you get out?
2001, October 2001.
Were you in communication with Miss Bankston while your daughter was living with her?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you tell her in this communication?
Told her I appreciated everything she was doing for her.
Who was supporting her at the time she was living with you?
I was.
When you got out of jail, Mr. Hultgren, where did you go?
I moved in with Mary.
Mary and your daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go to work?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you start supporting the household?
I was pulling my share, ma'am.
What was he paying for?
He was paying like the electric bills, and I paid the house payment because it was my house before he came along, and he paid the electric bill and things like that. He was pulling his weight as long as he lived there. Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever ask Miss Bankstrom how much she spent on your daughter while you were incarcerated?
No.
Why not?
I don't have any idea why I didn't.
Well, this lawsuit's very simple. It said that at some point you used her credit card after you got out of jail while you were living with her. You used her credit card. You told her you would pay for the bills on her credit card, and you didn't. And you owe her some money, $1,100.
Right.
So?
She got me some credit cards off her account, and went and ate on them and done some stuff on them. I took my boy to World Series, Little League World Series up in Oklahoma on a gas card, and other than that, you know, I was paying them until I left.
And so what happened when you left?
I don't know, it wasn't a good scene.
Did you leave with your daughter or without your daughter?
I left without my daughter.
So you left your daughter there?
No, she wasn't living there at the time, I don't think.
Where was she living?
Living in another place.
Where was she living?
She was living with another friend of ours.
Why?
Her and her father did not get along, so she moved out of the house.
Okay. Can I see the charges that he made?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Would you like all the evidence? Or just
Sure.
that?
Golden Corral.
That's an eating establishment.
Japanese Palace.
Another eating establishment. I have several eating establishments that we ate at on my credit cards, too.
Well, this is a lot of eating out.
Been 10 years since I ate out anywhere, so we kind of ate out pretty regularly.
So why don't you pay for it?
Well, I really don't feel like I owe her anything on that, because I've done some other things, you know. I wasn't trying to get anything from her that I've done over there. I mean, you know.
Well, give me an example, sir.
I put a storage building in her backyard. It was like $900-something bucks. I helped put a central air and heating unit in her house. That was labor on there. I put some electrical work in the garage and stuff.
Well, how much do you think it takes to support a teenager, sir? A month?
Quite a bit.
Listen, you know, if you have a large golden retriever, you can't take care of a large golden retriever for less than $100 a month. So
Right.
would you say it costs $200 a month to take care of a teenager?
At least.
Let's try 3.
Yeah, probably.
14 months, right? And she was there 14 months, and you didn't pay any support, right? So why would you stick her with $1,100 worth of bills?
The bottom line is that it was kind of crazy over there. There's several things that happened, and, you know, she wrecked my motorcycle and all that, you know, right there
She what?
at the end. She wrecked my motorcycle.
She wrecked your motorcycle. I couldn't understand. She wrecked your motorcycle. How'd
Right.
she do that?
Well, she took off on it and crashed
That he
it.
wouldn't even had if I had not had financed it for him.
And I was without the motorcycle for 3 months. I paid $500 a month on that while I was in the shop. $6,500 a month.
Well, did she do that on purpose?
Well, I told her not to get on it because she never rode one before, and she took off on it on her own wheel and crashed it. Hurt herself real bad. You know, and then right before I got the motorcycle, I was going to refinance the motorcycle because she kept hounding me about getting it refinanced,
Because
out of
she
her
was on a
name.
loan.
Right. And,
Well, she asked you to refinance it because she didn't want to be on the loan.
Right.
Well,
So
that sounds right to me.
Well, I finally did that, and the day I was
No,
going
he
to...
didn't.
The day I was going to refinance it, she called me and told me that she wasn't going to sign off on that loan until I give her $1,000. And I said, well, I ain't give you $1,000. And I went up there and traded it in and got it out of her name anyway.
What a prince. This is your fiancé. Is there anything you want to say to me?
Yeah, do I need to stand up?
You do.
I just have one comment, and that is whenever he went to refinance the motorcycle last year, he got his credit report and got it back, and it was about that thick, where he only had 4 credit cards in his name that he had gotten since they split up. Well, this had 18 open accounts on it.
We're not talking about the charges for those.
I know, but what I'm saying is...
What's your name?
Tara Harris.
Miss Harris, how old are you?
32.
You have children?
1.
How old?
12.
Who supports that child?
Me and him support him, and I get child support.
Get child support from the child's father?
Yes.
Get child support every month?
No, ma'am.
Every week?
No, ma'am.
How often?
Supposed to get it every month.
Yeah, and what happened?
He's been living at my house. He was with his dad. He's been living with us for the last year.
Oh, so before that he was living with his father?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you paying child support
Yes,
to his
ma'am.
father? How often?
Out of every paycheck, weekly.
Now, when you don't get child support from his father, does that annoy you?
Yes, ma'am.
And that child is biologically related to you.
Correct.
And biologically related to his father. How do you feel about somebody who doesn't feel any responsibility to somebody who supports their child for 14 months?
She lived with me for 5 years before he got out.
5 years. And pays for clothes, doctor, shoes, vacation, everything else. And doesn't say, as soon as I get out, I'm going to start paying you back for whatever you laid out, because I know that that's my responsibility. Think that kind of person has good moral fiber?
Actually, I think Bubba does have good moral fiber. He just, you know, he didn't work for 10 years. He didn't have the money.
Well, he does now.
Yes, ma'am, he does, and he
So
greatly
just a second.
appreciates.
Just a second. I don't care if he appreciates. You got to put your money where your mouth is, honey. Appreciating is not good enough. How could you say he's got good moral fiber? He's working now. And if his child was supported by a stranger for 5 years, and not only supported by, but nurtured by, stayed with, you know, took care of when she was sick, whatever else, you start paying that back. You start saying that was my obligation. And because I committed a crime doesn't mean that I don't have that obligation. So instead of not paying her support, now, I'm not talking about a year ago or 2 years ago, I'm talking about now. Instead of supporting your child, to whom he is not obligated in any way legally, you should send that money to her. She's not even suing for that money. I would love for her to do that. All she says was he used the credit card, $1,100, and that he should pay. Don't you think he should pay that too? Minimally.
No, I don't think he should pay that credit card debt.
You think he should pay her supporting his daughter?
He's probably, yeah, I would say that he's probably responsible for that.
Well, she's not suing. She's not suing him for that. She says, I took that responsibility on myself, and I'm not even going to pursue that. I just want what he's supposed to pay me on the credit card when he left. You get my drift.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,100. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I felt he can buy other things. He can buy a new Harley, but he couldn't pay me $1,100 for for credit card bills that he charged up.
We're real grateful for her. I mean, I don't know what I've done. If she wouldn't have been here, I don't know where she'd be, you know.
He has somebody else. I have somebody else. We're friends. We have a daughter together.
I'm just glad she's going to get paid so I don't have to hear him argue anymore.
I will never put nobody on my credit cards ever again.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Tardif, Morales versus Harrison. Step forward, please.
Grad student Joseph Ted Tardif and his roommate, Adrian Morales, are suing landscape business owner Alan Harrison for damage to their swimming pool. Ted and Adrian say Alan accidentally drove his stump cutter into the pool.
Mr. Tardif, according to what I read in your complaint, you hired Mr. Harrison to come and grind some tree stumps in your backyard. And he had an accident in your backyard. He and his machine fell into your swimming pool, causing some damage. You want him to pay for the damage to your pool. Mr. Harrison acknowledges that he had the
accident.
He acknowledges that he and his machine tipped over and went into your pool. It was entirely his fault, correct, Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Except he said that the pool was not damaged to the extent you say it was, and he's not going to build you a new pool, which is really what you want. He's willing to clean it up, but that's about it. Is that right?
We had the agreement, yes.
Well, I don't know what agreement you had, but I assume Mr. Tardif is going to tell me. Mr. Harrison, what kind of business do you have?
I operate a stump grinding business and a tree and landscape demolition removals.
How long have you been doing it?
3 years.
You have insurance?
No.
Why not?
Well, I just couldn't afford it at the time, and I'm still trying to build up. Things are a little bit tight, and I don't have insurance.
Who are these people?
These are my witnesses to cleaning the pool and to removing the stump cutter from the pool.
Okay. Do you have a picture of the stump cutter?
I have pictures.
I would like to see it. I don't know what a stump cutter looks like. Did you put in the pool, or was the pool
It was
in?
there when we bought the house.
So this is really what you're talking about, sir. You're talking about the staining and the cracks on the bottom of the pool.
Yes.
You have any photographs, Mr. Harrison?
Video.
I'd like to see your video.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever seen a stump grinder at the bottom of a swimming pool?
I bet not.
His name is Chewy, and we've got a chip right there, and a little one right there, and a little scraper over there. Little gunite scraper. Something along those lines. But we're going to set up some ramps and wheel this baby out pretty much that direction. We'll come along, get her out of here so his friend can skate the pool finally.
What is that supposed to show me, sir?
The damage, there was minor damage done to the pool when it fell in, the scrapes and the small chip.
How do I know that? The bottom of the pool is all full of mud.
It was on the side.
How do I know the bottom of the pool was all full of mud, sir? How do I know what was at the bottom of the pool?
When the stump grinder fell in, it rolled over, it put a scrape in the pool, it came down and it sat in one spot. And that's all it did.
Were you down there, sir?
I was in the pool when it went in. And I saw the stump cutter actually just lower itself down and stop in one spot.
Mr. Harrison, you have a problem, sir. Let me tell you what you should have had instead of a video camera. Insurance. Unfortunately, there may have been some chips and nicks that existed in this pool before, but you are responsible for putting this pool back into a pristine condition, because you are not going to be able to demonstrate to any court's satisfaction that this pool was in rotten condition before your stump cutter grinder fell into it.
Well, what happened was this. We came to an agreement that minor damage was done by myself, but it wasn't that bad. So I said, okay, you find somebody, I'll pay for the cleaner. And he said, I also want $1,000 free compensation for further work done on the pool. I said, okay, I was thinking about $800, but $1,000 sounded fine. About a few days later, I get a call from a representative of his pool cleaning company giving me Sully's phone number, of which I have his card and an invoice. And when I communicated it to Mr. Tardif that we were kind of having a little problem with the pool cleaner going in there, he said that it's his pool and he's going to get it cleaned the way he decides.
He's absolutely right.
Yes, he is.
He's absolutely right. He doesn't have to deal with your two guys. He's already dealt with one person who doesn't have insurance. Who's your insurance carrier?
I don't have an insurance carrier.
Right. You understand what I'm saying to you, sir? It's not up to you to determine how he gets his pool fixed.
Okay, but
you
that was
should
our
have been
agreement.
more careful.
Yes.
A. You should have had insurance. B. And if not, you saved on the premiums for 3 years. Now it's going to cost you. End of discussion. Oh, goodness gracious. Do I need you anymore? I mean, you're not a genius. If you have stumps that you want taken out of your house, you get somebody who's licensed and has insurance. I don't let somebody on my property unless they have insurance. So if there's an accident, you don't have to have this problem. You say, just give me the name of your insurance carrier. Put it into my insurance, and they'll pay the bill for the right kind of person to clean out and to take care of my pool. Do you understand?
Yeah, I totally
Very good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,700. That's all.
Why is that excuse? You may step out.
The right rear tire hit the lip of the pool and flipped over.
I personally believe that they had a plan to go in there and wipe the whole thing out and stick me with it so they could get a free pool.
Slow motion, all the sound effects, and the pin falling in the pool was crazy.
It is quite a shocker. But at the same time, we had an agreement for $1,000 and for me to pay the pool cleaner, and he's not happy that he called somebody to screw it up, and he didn't want to even go after him for anything or settle it that way. He just wanted to straight come after me.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Trathan versus Riffett, step forward, please.
Maintenance technician Joseph Trathan is suing his ex-girlfriend, inventory auditor Joelle Riffett, for the balance on a Dodge Stratus. Joelle claims the vehicle is Joseph's responsibility.
Mr. Trathan, according to your complaint, the defendant, who was your girlfriend, you have a child together, owes you for some money for a car.
Yes.
And Miss Riffett, I don't know. I tried to figure out her answer, but it was all kind of very soft. She says you agreed to assume the losses for the car when you sold it. However, we're going to ferret out the truth. When did you purchase this car along with Miss Riffett? In what year?
I co-signed, I believe, in 01.
When did you buy the car?
June of 2000.
What kind of car did you buy?
A Dodge Stratus.
It was your car?
Yes.
And he co-signed the loan because you couldn't get it without his co-signature. Is that right?
We actually were both on the loan equally. It was
because you couldn't get it by yourself.
It was a lower interest that way.
Because you couldn't get it by yourself.
Yes.
And you kept the car from June of 2000 until when?
April 2004.
And what did you do with it?
Well, what happened was I left the house. I left him in October, and I tried maintaining the payments.
October of 2003?
Yes.
Okay.
So I was doing it. I had an apartment on my own, and I was trying to raise both of my children, and I was having a hard time struggling making the payments because they were $330. And we had discussed it, and I asked him if he can help me out by taking the car because I can't afford it no more, so I can get a less expensive car. And the day before I gave it back to him, I called him and said, hey, Nissan called me, and they said they got a car for me for $4,500, which made my payments to be $170. Are you still willing to take it? Because I still had one more day to tell Nissan I didn't want it if he didn't agree. So he said, yeah, that's fine. We made arrangements. I dropped it off the car, and I put both sets of keys underneath the driver's seat. And after that, after I dropped it off on the 30th, I thought everything was done and fine. We were on good terms. I wasn't expecting any of this.
How much child support does he pay?
He pays me $205 now, but at the time...
Don't tap.
Okay.
$205 a what?
A week.
And how much child support do you get from the father of your other child?
$100 a week.
So you get twice that from him?
Now.
What were you getting before?
He was only giving me $100 a week.
And when did it double?
September.
Put your hand down.
September.
You're the girlfriend?
I'm the fiancé, ma'am.
Fiancé. We don't need you. We don't need to hear from you.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
Good.
On September 27th, we went to court, and that's when they distinguished $205 a week.
Now, sir, Ms. Riffett says that you agreed to take... Stop shaking your head. You look like making me seasick. Ms. Riffett says that you agreed to take the car and sell it. I assume sell it. Is that right?
No.
Well, tell me what you agreed to do.
I agreed to try to help her sell the car. I talked to my neighbors and people at work, try to get rid of the car if I could.
Well, when she told you she wanted to get rid of the car, what did you say to her?
I said I would try... I would say I would try to help you get rid of the car if I could. If I can't, that's your responsibility. It was your car. I'm not going to take the loss.
You told her that? You told her those things?
Yes.
Yeah.
I said it's not my...
And what happened when she dropped the car off with the keys at your house?
Well, I didn't want to take on the responsibility of the extra car payment, or if I couldn't make it, going against my credit. So I gave myself like a month time limit to try to get rid of it because my neighbor was talking to her mom about trying to buy it. And then she got a hold of me. I couldn't sell to her, so I went to CarMax, see how much they could offer to me for it.
Why didn't you try to sell it privately, put an ad in the paper?
Because I didn't want to continue making the payments. And also, if she's saying she couldn't afford it, when she moved out of the house, we split the equity in the house. I gave her a $10,000 check for the equity of the house several months later, which she knew she was going to get money for that.
You shouldn't have taken the car, sir. You have to have a contract with her.
I didn't take it. She left it on me.
Not have taken the car. You should have taken it back to her with the keys and said, this is your problem. This is your car. You've had it for 4 years. I'm not doing anything with it. But once you assume the responsibility by trying to sell it and then going ahead and selling it to somebody else, you can't come back against her for the difference. You didn't have a contract with her.
I was trying to do her a favor. That's it.
That's fine. You did her a favor. You did do her a favor.
Yeah.
Then what are you bothering me for?
Because, and then she's saying she couldn't afford it, but she gave it to me in April? That's 5 months later.
You have to have a contract with her. An agreement, oral, written. And the oral or written agreement says, if you sell the car at a loss, I will pay the difference. You didn't have that contract with her.
No, but I know I couldn't let it sit there and not have anyone make payments on it. She could give me
What
half
happens,
the
sir,
money.
is that after she stops making payments, they're going to repossess the car. If she let that happen. Now, she may not have let that happen because she has a job and she doesn't want her credit destroyed. But once you assume the responsibility by selling the car without a contract, oral or written, with her, you cannot then come to court and say, well, she should have done this. She should have made the payments. She should not have put me in that position. She should not have dropped the car off at my house. She dropped the car off, you took the car, and you sold it. That's your problem.
But I was trying to do the right thing.
Good.
And I didn't want it affecting my credit. It would have been too late if I would have waited for something like that.
I have to tell you, sir, I'm very sympathetic with you. You should not have done it. This is a court. Courts deal with contracts. You did not have a contract with her.
I have
So you're
contracts
out
on
of
how
luck.
much I paid
Sorry.
on it.
Parties are excused. They step out.
I was trying to do the right thing, trying to help her out, do her a favor, and in turn she turned around and screwed me, and I guess that's what I get for doing that.
I think he took it upon himself. He didn't give me the car back, and that's not my problem anymore.
She screwed me on the house. She screwed me on the car.
He had no car payment at the time. He was giving me $100 a week. That's the least he could have done.
She's done everything she can. She's gotten every little dime she could get from me on the house, the car.
Hopefully this will be the final thing, and we can actually be parents to my child now.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Donahue versus Heinig, step forward, please.
21-year-old fitness consultant Megan Donahue is suing her ex-boyfriend, 24-year-old construction worker Brian Heinig, and his mother, Ann, for the return of a bedroom set and entertainment system.
Miss Donahue, this used to be your boyfriend, is that right?
Yes.
You have a child with him?
Yes, I do.
How old is that child?
9 months.
Boy or girl?
Boy.
And for a period of time you lived in Mr. Heinig's home with his mother?
Yes.
And it is your claim that there was some sort of an altercation. You left, and Mr. Heinig refuses to give you back 2 items of furniture that you purchased that belonged to you. Mr. Heinig says that the bed he paid for and that the home theater was given to him. He doesn't say by whom. When did you move out?
April 9th.
And you moved out with your son?
Yes, I did.
Where did you move to?
My house, my parents' house.
When did you go back for your furniture?
April 9th is the last time I've ever been at their house.
When did you tell them you wanted the bed and the home entertainment center?
April 9th.
Okay. Now, what?
Well, I was there. My son was not there when she came back with her sister, and she did want the bed. She made no mention of an entertainment center. She was very emphatic about the bed.
How old is your son?
Son?
I'm 24, ma'am.
He's 24. Is he your youngest?
No.
Let him talk for himself. Let's deal with the entertainment center first, Mr. Heinig.
Mm-hmm.
Who bought it?
We had both bought it.
Who paid for it?
We had both paid for it.
How much did you pay for it?
I'd say $180 at least.
Yeah, I have receipts for everything I paid for and an itemized list of everything that I wanted back. And he did pay, when I was on maternity leave, he did pay part of the bed.
Okay.
And I did pay him back. And there's a council check in here proving that I paid him back. Yeah, that's all for the bed and everything.
Why did she give you a check in March of 2004 for $600?
I've never received a check for $600 in March. We weren't even talking together in March.
Yes, we were. I didn't move out till April 9th.
I never received a check for
Would you show him this,
$600. Oh, this is for the side work I was doing for her dad at the gym when I was rebuilding the gym.
Okay, so that's for work that you did for her father?
Yeah, when they own a gym.
Mm-hmm.
And there should be another check somewhere for $350 that they had also paid me.
No.
Okay. Now, you say you paid her about $180, sir?
Well, that was for the TV.
How much was the television?
Maybe $240, I don't know, something around there. It was like a 27-inch TV.
Okay.
It wasn't that.
And how much did you pay her towards the bed, which was...
I got $650 towards the bed.
Let us say that everything that you say is true, Mr. Heinig, that you did pay for some part of both the entertainment center as well as the bed. That doesn't mean that you get to keep both.
Understandable.
So how do you want to deal with it?
You know, I don't feel that, you know, I mean, like I said...
I don't know because you're not saying anything. You're just comforting.
I don't know, I understand how she justifies that she asked for the entertainment center when the only thing she's ever wanted was the bed.
She's just... Women change their mind.
I'll give her the money for the bed, you know, but I mean, I think that that's the only thing I should give her the money for.
And the television, the entertainment center?
I'll give her the television. She could have it.
Oh, great. So the entertainment center is to be returned to her within 5 days from today's date. You keep the bed, sir. You're going to pay her $750 for the bed. That's all. Judgment for the plaintiff. $750 and the entertainment center within 5 days. Thank you.
His mother can't cut the umbilical cord from her son, and Every time I try to solve something with him, she gets involved again.
All I'm interfering with is the fact that I want to see my grandson, which she is denying of me.
When we were trying to work things out, she'd call him about a dozen times when he'd be at my house. Where are you? You need to tell me where you're at all times. Like, she's crazy.
She always takes the blame off of her and puts it on everybody else, and I can accept that.
Actually, he tried to choke me with this purse.
I don't know. Kicking me in the back of the car when our baby's in the car is a little crazy.
You know, he hasn't paid me any child support, even called to see how his son is in the last 2 months, so.
I can't deal with crazy people.
Interior designer Margot McDougall is suing her ex-fiancé, financial consultant Michael Kelly, for the cost to decorate his home. Michael is countersuing, claiming Margot is withholding furniture.
Your Honor, it's case number 309 on the calendar in the matter of McDougall versus Kelly. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Ms. McDougall, you are an interior designer.
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, you met the defendant in a rather unlikely place, at a gas station or something like that. You struck up a conversation. Always a bad idea. And according to what I read, he took you for well over $10,000. He engaged you to decorate a house for him. You did. You furnished the house for him. He never paid you and took off. In addition to that, he stole some gift certificates that you had. That case is not really before me because according to what I read, Mr. Kelly, did you plead guilty to that theft?
I did, Your Honor.
You did. Mr. Kelly says that you actually owe him money because he paid you for the furniture and he never got it and just decided to chalk it up to a bad experience and moved on. Is that right, sir?
Pretty
close. But he is counterclaiming.
Pretty close.
Mr. Kelly, you met Miss McDougall when, sir?
August 15, 2002, at a gas station at about 3 in the morning.
Now, when did you engage her services to decorate your home?
Shortly after that, we started a personal relationship. I learned she was an interior designer. So I decided to hire her because I had a beachfront condo that needed furnished. It was going to be sold.
Okay. What kind of work were you doing in August of 2002, Mr. Kelly?
I was a financial consultant, Your Honor.
For whom?
Kelly Consulting, 6 years.
For yourself?
My dad opened the company.
Now, you needed furniture. Did you go with Miss McDougall to pick out the furniture?
No, Your Honor.
She picked it out herself?
Yes, Your Honor.
And she showed you photographs?
Yes,
you
she did.
gave her carte blanche?
Pretty much, Your Honor.
Pretty much what? I gave you 2 questions. You can't have the yes, pretty much.
I gave her carte blanche. She showed me photos of the items that she was going to custom order for my beachfront home. She came over and did a consulting of the beachfront property on September 6th. She looked over the home, charged me roughly $6,000 and change. I paid her in full.
Okay, so she charged you $6,000.
$6,800. I have the exact amount.
And what was the name of her decorating firm?
Well, Your Honor, she called it.
I don't care what she called it. What did she tell you? Because she made out your check.
Margaret McDougall Interior Design.
Fine.
I personally paid her, not to her company, because she was unemployed.
Just a second. So when you say you personally paid her, what does that mean?
Western Union earned her money.
Show me.
Sure.
What is this, sir?
That's a copy of the Western Union payments to Miss McDougall.
Show me your receipts from Western Union.
Your Honor, here's also my copy of Western Union. These are the printouts they give you at AmSouth when you pick up a Western Union. I sent her the money, she picked it up. There's a copy of her transactions. There's a copy of my transactions over the course of time.
I don't buy it. You want to know why, sir?
Why, Your Honor?
Because you're a financial consultant. I've been alive a very long time. When I pay a decorator, I pay a decorator by check. You get an invoice from a designer. The invoice is number 634. You say invoice number 634, $6,000. You pay him by check. You have a copy of the check. Financial advisors don't deal in money orders. People who don't have checking accounts deal in money orders. And people, listen to me, sir. I don't buy it. Got it? Good. So, do you have a canceled check that you gave to Miss McDougall for any of this furniture?
I have something better than that, Your Honor.
Yes.
I have the results of a polygraph test.
I'm not interested in your polygraph test, or take it and throw it in the garbage. Polygraph tests are inadmissible in courts. Now, you claim that You purchased this furniture for him. You laid out the money.
Yeah.
You had the furniture delivered to him.
No, actually, he picked it up.
Where did he pick it up?
At my place of business.
Show me proof that you ordered furniture for him, and show me proof by way of a receipt signed by him that he picked it up.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. That's all I want to see.
No problem.
Good. And while we're at it, Mr. Kelly, while she's looking for those things, I want you to tell me about stealing over $5,000 worth of gift certificates. Gift certificates that belonged to Miss McDougal. So I'm asking you where you stole them from.
My contention was I didn't steal them, Your Honor.
Did you tell the judge you stole them?
No, Your Honor, I pled out in the interest.
Pled out, sir, means you pled guilty.
Right.
You weren't lying to the judge when you pled guilty, were you?
It was in my best interest.
That doesn't answer my question, Slick.
Well, Your Honor, there's such a thing called a no contest plea. So in best interest, I pled no contest. If I took it to jury trial, I very easily could have got a lot of time. I took a polygraph, but nobody wanted to see the polygraph.
You're absolutely, nobody wants to see your polygraph.
Administered by a doctor, court recognized. Doesn't matter.
Court doesn't recognize polygraph experts, sir.
I thought they did in civil matters. I didn't know.
No, they don't.
It doesn't hold any weight with you, Your Honor?
It doesn't hold any weight, and your story doesn't hold any weight, Mr. Kelly.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Go McDougal says ex-fiancé Michael Kelly owes for her services as an interior designer. Margot also says Michael stole over $5,000 in gift certificates from her purse.
When was the last time you were incarcerated?
1998.
For the record, you want to tell me for what?
Violation of probation.
What was your original crime?
Grand theft.
Grand theft. Grand theft of what, sir?
Value over...
is not an answer. What did you steal?
I'm not sure, Your Honor. It was so long ago, 7 years ago, 8 years ago. It was monetary, though, money.
What kind of sentence did you receive when you pled guilty to stealing her gift certificates, sir, out of her pocketbook?
Your Honor, I received a 18 months probation, early termination upon a determined amount of restitution.
And how much restitution did you make, Mr. Kelly?
I agreed to $7,200 and change.
Did you make that restitution?
I have a period of time to do it, Your Honor.
And if you don't make that restitution within the period of time, you go to jail. Is that correct?
For 18 months.
18 months. Sounds perfect to me. And how much longer do you have, sir, before you have to make this restitution?
I have about another 15 months to go, Your Honor.
Good. Hope you're working. Are you telling me that he picked up a sofa?
Actually, it was some modular kind of a sofa. It was in 3 pieces.
Your Honor, you have the purchase orders in front of you. You might find something interesting that they're numbered 755, 756, and then they go to 758. There's not a 757. I have 757. I have the original purchase orders.
Can I see it, please?
Certainly. Yeah, you'll find something interesting in that. On 757, there's an item there that weighs 500 pounds. Now, you might take a good look at me, Your Honor, but I don't believe me and Miss McDougal can pick up a 500-pound entertainment center.
I didn't claim that you got it, either.
I signed it, Your Honor, the same day as the other purchase orders. You'll see where she thinks that recognizes me picking up the items.
What I want to see from you are the days that he picked up the merchandise, where he signed for the merchandise. When you pick up merchandise, somebody signs for it.
The bottom of those, they're actually on the yellow copies. That's all that I had him sign for. And
just a second. Would you ask her to show me what she's talking about? He's got these signs, and some of them are signed 2009-17, 2002. They're all signed same date.
Right.
And that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the date he picked them up.
He represented himself as an attorney, Your Honor. He represented that he was all these things.
Are you a business person?
Well, I was going to school and I was opening a business with a partner all at the same time. And I was really busy.
You got conned.
I know that.
You got conned. Hopefully you can get your $7,000 back. Because I don't think Mr. Kelly wants to go back to jail, do you?
No, Your Honor, but I'd like my consulting fees back from her.
I don't believe that you paid it, sir. I think you're a con artist. I think you're a thief and a con artist. I don't know what her story is, maybe just stupidity. but I don't believe a word that comes out of your mouth. Neither does Officer Byrd. Anyway, your counterclaim is dismissed. Mr. McDougal, unless you have a receipt that he signed when he picked up the stuff at the warehouse, you have no claim against him.
He picked it up and received it on the 17th.
Your Honor, if you believe
Just a
that.
second. He picked it up right here.
If you believe that, Your Honor, on the 24th, we went and got a marriage license.
Oh,
He picked it up right here.
Do me a favor. Show him
Picked
the door.
up M.
Goodbye.
Kelly,
Goodbye.
and he signed it.
I just asked you, can they step out?
I'm really glad that Judge Judy showed that Mr. Kelly was actually a real con artist.
I think Judge Judy was a little rough on me. She didn't look at the polygraph exam.
He conned me for those things, and he conned me for more than that.
We had a marriage license, and the reason we broke it off is because she lied about her age. She was much older than she presented herself as.
Couldn't find him until a year and a half later, where he had done the same thing to another woman, met her at a grocery store with him. That's where I saw him.
Well, the allegations are unfounded. I might be smooth, that'd be the word. But don't hate the player, hate the game.
Case number 2149, Goodwin versus Philpott. All parties, please step forward.
Manuelita Goodwin is suing wedding planner Kayla Philpott for repayment of items purchased for Kayla's wedding.
Miss Philpott, how long have you known Miss Goodwin?
Since I was a child. I don't really remember much of her when I was a child, but she remembers me as a baby.
Well, I know what she remembers. You were getting married. When? What was the date of the wedding?
May 6, 2021.
Where was the wedding supposed to be held?
It was going to be held in Turlock.
Is that a wedding venue?
Yes.
How many people were coming?
It ended up being around 25 people. It was kind of small.
How many people did you invite?
60.
But 25 came.
Yeah.
It was during the height of COVID. Tell me, when you contacted Miss Goodwin, you contacted her because you knew she was a wedding planner, right?
Yes.
And when did you contact her?
I believe I contacted her in January.
And at the time you contacted her, had you made any wedding plans at all?
Very little.
Okay. During the course of your wedding planning, she said she would help you.
Yes.
Prior to January 2021, when you contacted her, when was the last time you saw her?
I can't even remember.
Well, was it in 2020?
No.
2019?
No.
So you hadn't seen her in at least 2 or 3 years?
Yes.
How many times in that 2 or 3 year period did you communicate with her by text or by phone?
Never.
So the reason that you called her in January of 2021 was to assist you with your wedding?
Yes.
And she did?
Yes.
That's why we're here.
Yes.
She said she laid out a whole bunch of money for you in planning your wedding and purchasing things for your wedding, and she wants to be reimbursed for that. So when you called and asked her to help plan your wedding, what did you ask her to do for you?
I asked her to help me because I really didn't have a sense of direction of what to do for a wedding. And I asked her if she would pay for a decoration. And then I told her that I was getting my tax return and that I'd pay her for the decoration. And we started with that.
Started with that. Mm-hmm. How much money in total did you pay Miss Goodwin for her work in planning your wedding?
I paid her $50.
Well, don't you think that's ridiculous? It is ridiculous, right? You called her and engaged her to be a wedding planner for your wedding. She wasn't your best friend. She wasn't even a close friend. You hadn't spoken to her or seen her in years. So clearly you called her to do a job for you that was her profession, her vocation. And in addition to doing that, she bought you your wedding dress.
Yes.
How much was your wedding dress?
I ended up, we got a few dresses. The first one didn't work out, and I believe that one was $200. And then
who paid for that one?
She did.
So the first one didn't work out. Mm-hmm. That was $200.
Yes.
And it didn't work out. Why?
I didn't like the fit on it.
Didn't like it. Okay, but you bought it. Well, yeah. She bought it.
Yes.
And where is that dress now?
I gave it back, and we ended up returning it.
Okay, so you got your money back?
Yes.
Oh, great. Strike that out. And what about the next dress?
The next dress, it was from Amazon, and we didn't like the fit either, so we ended up returning that one. And that one was...
Who ordered that dress? You or the plaintiff?
I believe it was me.
Okay, and what did you finally end up with?
I ended up getting a dress from David's Bridal that I really liked.
How much was that?
I believe it was $500.
Who paid for that?
She did.
So far you've paid $50 for her services, and so far, at least what I know, just for one dress, it was $500. Mm. Don't you think you owe her compensation for her work?
Well, she told me that, she was really, really generous. She was giving, I did a lot of stuff, and I believe that I don't owe her because she offered to do that.
It sounds stupid to you. Okay, I know it sounds stupid to you. How much did you lay out for her wedding? In the receipts that you have for me, how much did you lay out for her wedding?
$32,87.95.
And when you asked her to be reimbursed for that money, what did she tell you?
That she was going to pay some of it when she received her tax returns, actually her wife's tax returns, and also she was working overtime to pay me back. She also stated that she was going to be getting a judgment from a State Farm check that she would be making payments, and she did pay the $50 after she made a payment arrangement with me to pay $200 a month back, and she did make the first payment of $50, and from that point she didn't make any additional payments. So we did work together, Your Honor, to try to sell the items that were at her sister's home. I requested both Kayla and her wife at the time to sell the items. They're sitting in her sister's garage in Stockton, where I do not live. I did come down for 2 weeks to try to help sell those items.
Were any of those items sold?
Yes, they
Did
were.
you get any money back from
I
those?
did.
How much?
$106, and then I had to pay for shipping for those items.
How much did you pay for shipping?
$75. And the rest of the items are still in her sister's possession.
Okay, $32.26. How much did you pay for your wedding other than the plaintiff's participation?
$8,000.
Did you pay that?
My mom paid for the venue, and then I paid for the other things.
How much was the venue?
$4,000.
So you paid $4,000. You personally, and what about your wife?
Well, we share an account, so it was from both of us.
What about her $3,200? Just don't have it. Just didn't pay it. Okay. Anything else, Ms. Goodwin?
No.
$32.26. Judgment for the plaintiff.
This court is adjourned.
She told me that a lot of the stuff was gifts.
I don't have any more wedding woes.
She did a great job with the wedding.
She thought it was a gift.
She's really, really gifted at that.
Never gonna loan money to her again.
That was a relatively easy case. I think even the defendant acknowledged, besides just relying on the goodwill of the plaintiff, she had no real excuse to not pay her back, and makes our job easy.
Some are easy.
Case 2137, Weiss versus Light. All parties, please step forward.
Caitlin Weiss is suing her ex-boyfriend, Cody Light, for unpaid loans.
Ms. Weiss, the defendant was a boyfriend of yours for a period of time.
Correct.
And you allege a couple of loans. One from a year and a half ago, the balance of a $200 loan, he paid you back $100.
Yes.
Quite frankly, I'm not interested in what happened a year and a half ago. What you say is, I need time to catch up.
It was a verbal conversation.
Well, what's in writing is you saying to her, I can make payments to you. But the thing that you don't have in writing is where she gave the loan. Is that right?
Caitlin Weiss claims her ex-boyfriend, Cody Light, is refusing to pay back loans she gave him during their relationship.
Okay, in March of this year, you allege that you gave him money. He was still your boyfriend in March of this year, is that right?
Yes.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
And in March of this year, he had gotten a car. What kind of car did you get?
It was a Buick Regal.
What year?
A 2004, I believe.
Where did you get it from?
I got it from a private seller.
How much did you pay for it?
$850.
Needed fixing.
Yes.
And you didn't have money for parts.
I did for the first round of parts.
But you didn't for the second?
After the first ones failed, I did not.
And how much did you need for parts?
That I don't remember.
Who bought them?
Miss Weiss did.
Did you buy them on a credit card?
I believe so, yes.
And you have no idea what you paid for those parts?
I don't remember.
But that would be in March of 2022.
It would have been in April.
Did you pay for the parts by credit card?
Yes, I paid between Cash App transactions that were transferred to Mr. Light through Cash App, which I have present here.
I'd like to see proof of them. What do they total?
They totaled up to $920.
Does that sound about right, Mr. Lippy?
That's about right.
Okay. And tell me about the discussion that you had with her when she paid for these parts.
There was a discussion of how I was going to pay her back.
And what did you tell her?
I did agree at that time.
And then what happened?
There were then later discussions as we were still in a relationship and I was in financial troubles that she told me not to worry about it.
This $920 was a loan in April of 2022. That's what you say. It was in April, not March.
Correct.
And then you say at some point she forgave that loan.
Right.
Tell me when that happened.
Shortly after the car got back together, which would have been in May. I was financially struggling.
Well, you weren't living together at the time?
No, she would periodically come over and
yeah, but you weren't living together at the time. So how would she find out that you were in financial trouble?
I mean, we were at that state in our relationship where she knew basically my financials all the time.
When did the two of you break up?
I believe that was in June.
So shortly after you say she forgave the loan.
That is correct.
Did you ever forgive this $920 loan?
No, I did not. Brennan Black was there the day that I had confronted Cody at a car meet and had offered him a short little payment of $790 where Cody said he would do it in payments.
Just a minute. You broke up in June.
Correct.
He says that you had a conversation before that, sometime in May, where you knew he was in financial difficulty. Did you ever have that conversation with him?
No, that is incorrect. I do have statements here to prove it as well.
I'd like to see them. So then you said he owed you $970. He had been giving you some money?
Yes, he had been giving me
It says, so that puts you at $670, okay? That's what you wrote.
Correct. He had been giving me money periodically throughout the beginning of the car parts.
Okay, but it says, so that puts you at $670, okay?
Yes, there's more transactions on the Cash Apps as well.
Oh, after that?
Yes, correct. Sorry.
No, sir. What you say is I need time to catch up. There's no forgiving here unless you have some...
It was a verbal conversation.
Well, what's in writing...
Right.
What's in writing is you saying to her, I need some time to catch up. I can make payments to you. All of that is in writing. But the thing that you don't have in writing is where she forgave the loan. Is that right? Yeah. $920. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done here. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
It is what it is.
I think it was fair. Mr. Light did owe me money, and he got what he deserved.
Yes, she lent me the money, but at the same time, she was helping me out in a relationship, and she knew I was struggling.
He said he was going to pay me back and never followed through even after that.
There were discussions about her telling me not to worry about it.
Not to trust so much.
I'm never going to do it again.
Oh, that's going to be a contract.
She was very prepared.
Oh, she was to the point, knew exactly what she needed.
And she had all of her evidence.
Yep.
All
just the way we like it.
All lined up. It's unfortunate when a loan becomes a gift and a gift then becomes a loan when the romance is over. These writings are always so helpful, and these text messages really are making my life much easier.
And one thing that I mention a lot is with Cash App or Venmo, always state if you're paying someone money, don't just send the money, put in the subject line. They have a subject line on those for a reason, for this car part, for this tow, for this XYZ, the other. So I always, when using Venmo or Cash App or something like that in an online transfer system, I'll send the money, and then in the transaction, you can put whatever you want in the memo line of Venmo. So housekeeping for me, I'll pay through that. Other things, I list housekeeping for, and I put the date and the hours. So I at least have a record of who I'm paying electronically.
If you buy food,
or if I give someone money for dinner for half my meal, I say for my dinner on XYZ date.
And then you can get a printout.
Organized. Exactly.
And then you can, like a bank account?
Yep.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
It just keeps it organized. So I love it when litigants come in ready to go.
Well, that's good advice for people who use Venmo, to use the subject line.
Exactly.
Isaac Uno is suing his former tenants, Ann V. Kelly and Kevin Jackson, for unpaid rent and property damage.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Hello. Case number 2116, Uno versus Kelly Jackson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Uno, you purchased a duplex home, 2 different apartments.
That's correct.
In what month and year did you purchase the home?
November of 2020.
And when you purchased it, one of the duplexes was occupied by the defendants.
That's correct.
It is your claim that they owe you for rent?
Yes.
And for property damage?
That's correct.
They are no longer there?
No.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
How long were you and your wife living in the duplex before November of 2020?
We moved in June of 2019.
And at the time, do you recall who your landlord was in June of 2019?
Yes.
Between June of 2019, when you first moved in, and November of 2020, when the plaintiff bought the property, was there any work done on that property?
Not at all.
No maintenance?
No maintenance.
Okay. So from the time you moved in, the prior owner did no maintenance on that property? Did no painting?
Oh, just the minor stuff before we moved in. They just painted and just had everything looking nice, the floors.
So just a second. So the prior owner painted the premises and did the floors?
Yes, it was carpet and some flooring in the kitchen.
And Mr. Yuno did not do any other painting or flooring or any cosmetic work on the duplex when he purchased it in November of 2020?
No.
So whatever was there by the previous owner of the property is still there?
Yes.
I'm just asking you this because your counterclaim is for child endangerment, and the child endangerment is because of lead paint. That's what you write here.
Yes.
He didn't put in the lead paint, right?
Yes, thinking about that.
He didn't paint it. You don't know when it was painted. Maybe it was painted by the prior owner. How do you know? By the way, do you have medical records of the child that you claim has lead poisoning?
Yes.
I'd like to see them. Yes, you. I have no idea what this says.
That's the piece of paper that he gave me from the hospital.
Well, I don't understand
for the blood work.
I'm not a doctor, so I can't.
Okay.
We have something from the health department also stating that because my son his lead was found in his system, they got involved.
I understand that. He did not paint the apartment.
No, ma'am.
When you, just for my own curiosity, when you bought this place, do you remember the purchase of it? And when you purchase a property, usually there's an inspection.
Yes.
And one of the questions usually has to do with lead paint. Do you remember any of that from when you purchased the property?
I didn't receive any notification of lead paint from the inspectors.
Well, usually they sign off that there is no lead paint.
I don't remember seeing because they never mentioned anything about it.
Nothing about lead paint? No. Okay. Did you ever have the home tested, by the way, for lead?
Only when we found out about my son having lead.
Okay. And do you have the test result?
And there was lead found in 2 places, not just the bathtub.
Miss Kelly, the issue is he didn't do any of that painting.
Right.
He bought the place. You had been living there for a year and a half before he bought the place.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. And your son was born within that year and a half.
Well, we moved there, he was 6 months.
He was 6 months old, so he lived there for a year and a half even before he purchased it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We did buy the things to fix the bathroom up. He told us to take them back to fix the tub and everything because we asked him to fix it. So the things we had, like to get the tub fixed, the flooring and everything, he told us to take back.
How many people were living in the duplex?
In our apartment?
In your apartment?
4.
4? Including the baby?
Yes, ma'am.
Including the baby. And how old's the other child?
She's 14.
Okay. Do you have that report?
No. This is just stating where it was at.
The health department?
Yes. I thought that piece of paper that I gave you was that one.
No.
This is just.
It doesn't say.
This is just showing where the lead was found in the house.
How old is this duplex?
It was built in 1906, so almost 115 years or so.
Yeah. And they certainly used lead paint
Possibly,
then.
yeah. I'm not sure about it.
I'm not sure.
I don't
But,
understand about it.
Ms. Kelly, Mr. Jackson, that's not his fault. Not his fault. So now I would like to know, Mr. Yuno is suing you for rent. And I'd like to know first, how much rent were you paying?
$750.
And that's what you were paying under the old lease?
Yes.
And were you current on your rent when Mr. Yuno took over the property?
Yes.
In November of 2020?
Yes.
So far correct?
That's accurate.
When did you stop paying rent?
December of 2021.
So you paid rent for a year?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you working, Mr. Jackson?
Yes, when I first moved in, yes, I was working 2 jobs.
And were you working from November of 2020 to December of 2021?
Yes, I was.
For whom?
Yes, I was. I was working for TGI Fridays.
And Miss Kelly, were you working?
No, ma'am, I'm disabled.
And how much were you receiving in pay?
I was only getting
If you have to think about it, you don't remember.
Yeah, I wasn't getting too much because it was during COVID, and I was working at a restaurant, and I was only allowed to work 3 days out of the week.
Okay. And what happened in December of 2021?
What happened was he already sent us a letter previously saying that he wanted to go up on the rent to a...
Okay.
Yes, to
so you
$1,000.
had no lease anymore, and he wanted to raise the rent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I believe you. And that was the reason that you used to try to evict them before?
Yes, that was the first one, but I don't agree with his statement.
Well, what statement don't you agree with?
Isaac Uno claims his former tenants, Ann V. Kelly and Kevin Jackson, owe for unpaid rent and property damage. Ann V. and Kevin are countersuing for child endangerment and a constructive eviction.
And in what month was that?
He sent it to us, I want to say...
Do you remember, Mr. Uno?
It was 90 days before the 1st of December, so that would have been, I think, September 31st or October 31st.
That he was raising the rent to what?
To $1,000 a month.
Effective December.
Yes, December 1st.
And what happened in December?
We were, at that time, looking for a new apartment, and at that time it was hard because around that time, a lot of the rent was going up from just being like $800, $900 to like $1,200 to $1,400 for rent for a month there.
Don't speak.
Okay.
And that was, why we stopped paying rent, because we were actually looking for a house, even when he gave us the 90 days.
Okay. So, Mr. Jackson, based upon what you just told me, so stop shaking your head, based upon what you told me, your landlord gave you 90 days notice that if you wished to stay on, he was raising your rent to $1,000 a month.
Yes.
And you started to look around for a new place.
Yes.
And the new places were very expensive.
Yes.
And you didn't find a place.
No.
So you decided to stay in this place.
No,
So what did you do?
we...
So if you didn't find a place
we decided
in December...
we were trying to stay there until we found a place.
I assume they paid rent in September.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
In October?
Yes.
They paid rent in October?
Yes.
Good. And November?
November was the last month that they paid.
So they paid in November?
Yes.
So you stopped paying rent in December of 2021?
Yes.
No, you cannot.
Okay.
If I need you,
Yes,
I'll
ma'am.
come to you.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Okay?
Okay.
Because so far he's doing fine. You stopped paying rent in December of 2021. Tell me why.
We didn't want to live there ourselves anymore either, but it was just a lot of things going on at the house. Like after my father passed away, and he first gave us the first eviction notice, because he gave us more than one.
Just a second.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We're skipping over.
Okay.
He didn't give you an eviction notice, I assume, until you stopped paying rent.
No, before December, he gave us like 3 of them, I think. I want to say 3.
Really?
Yes.
Why were you trying to evict them before?
They had torn up the carpet upstairs. It was a moratorium for evictions, but there was a stipulation that emergency evictions for nuisance tenants could be granted before then.
Is there any reason why you took up the carpets?
Yes, the same thing. Before he took over, everything was in the house before that, and we complained to the previous owner that the carpet was already dirty. They said that they were going to come and shampoo it, but never did. Like, we would walk and our socks would be black, our feet would be black, so we wanted to take the carpet up. It was dirty to us. And I myself actually told him about it. I went downstairs to his apartment because he lived downstairs from us. Talked to him about it. He came upstairs, and I showed him a section of the carpet that wasn't even connected to the floor. You can lift up the whole carpet and like across a whole section of the wall. And then when I did that, he seen that the hardwood looked kind of decent, and then instead of putting new carpet on, he wanted the hardwood to get sanded down and just get stained and and lacquered over.
So you took the carpet off?
Yes.
I believe you. Sounds right, Mr. Uno. Okay. And that was the reason that you used to try to evict them before?
Yes, that was the first one. But I don't agree with his statement.
Well, what statement don't you agree with?
Well, a number of things that he said. I didn't authorize him. We spoke. I asked him in the first meeting if there was anything that they wanted to have spruced up or anything as a good gesture, and they took it upon themselves to take up the carpet without my permission.
Okay, not a huge deal. Not a huge deal. You can use it as a huge deal if you want your tenants out, because you can re-rent that duplex for substantially more money.
It was more about their conduct, that they were being very disturbing behavior and just being off the wall. So I wanted them out for a lot of reasons.
Well, I know, but only one of them qualified under the eviction moratorium.
Yes, for emergency of dismantling the
Only
place.
one, and that would have been the carpet. Okay, Mr. Jackson.
Yes.
I'm back to you, sir. I haven't figured out yet. You stopped paying rent in December, and you moved out in what month?
We didn't move out until June.
June. So January, February, March, April, and May. Let's say 5 months' rent that you didn't pay, correct?
Yes.
Why?
Can I speak, Your Honor?
No, him. Tell me why you didn't pay the 5 months' rent, Mr. Jackson.
We just figured that, we didn't figure. We didn't want to pay him $1,000 because to us.
Okay, so let's say you didn't want to pay him $1,000, even though you just told me finding another place would be more expensive, right? You said $1,200, $1,400, but you didn't give him $750. You gave him $0 for those 5 months. So I'm going to come back to you, Mr. Jackson. Does your wife receive disability payments because of her disability?
Yes.
Yes. How much a month?
That I don't know.
How much a month do you receive, Ms. Kelly?
$1,000.
$1,000. And did you continue to receive that $1,000 every month from December until June?
Yes, ma'am.
You see, certain things remain constant. Your disability payments remain constant.
Right.
If you live in an apartment and you have the same sort of income, then you pay rent.
Right.
And if you didn't pay $1,000, so I hear you. Well, that's what he said he wanted. And he's the landlord. And he's allowed to do that if you're going to stay in his premises. But you paid nothing, Mr. Jackson, and that's what I don't understand.
Well, the premise was busted.
Just a second.
Yeah.
Miss Kelly.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
What? You paid nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Where did you move in June?
Moved in the same area, like probably 10 minutes away from that particular street.
Is it a private house or an apartment?
It's a house, it's a duplex as well.
Duplex. So the same sort of setup. And how much rent are you paying?
Pay $950.
So almost as much as he wanted in his rent. But are you more comfortable in that unit?
Yes.
Okay.
My wife walked down there and asked, was he the landlord? He just said that he was the building manager. So nobody even got rent for the month of November when we lived there, not him or even the previous people, because he didn't even come upstairs to introduce us.
Well, I wouldn't complain about that, sir, if you're...
Isaac Uno claims his tenants, Envy Kelly and Kevin Jackson, owe for unpaid rent and property damage. Envy and Kevin claim Isaac forced them to leave.
Now, you saved over 5 months, let's say, minimally $750.
$37.50.
$37.50. Now, Mr. Uno, the only question that I have to ask you is, Mr. Jackson and Miss Kelly say that they filled out some sort of forms for rent relief during COVID, and you signed it. And they say you received money from the state for any unpaid rent. Did you receive any money from the state for rent that they didn't pay?
No, I approached them with an application, but the program that funds the landlord relief for the moratorium was only open for 1 month, and I came and went, and I missed it, and I never got it. So I did have them fill out something. It was just a hardship thing, but they didn't give me the money for it. I never received anything.
So you didn't receive any money. So far, Miss Kelly and Mr. Jackson, you owe Mr. Uno $3,750 for rent that you didn't pay while you occupied his premises. You, your furniture, your children, I don't care what it is. That's what you didn't pay. And you can't save up your money and not pay your landlord. That's his business. Just like you work for Fridays and you get your pay when you're supposed to, that's his business. He bought a house. He was counting on the income from that house to pay some of his expenses, and you didn't pay it. Well, there's no question you have to pay it. Now you have a counterclaim. I've already gotten rid of child endangerment. This is 150 years old. Constructive eviction. So I'd like you to tell me your allegations of constructive eviction.
Is that like from him not doing anything to the apartment while we lived there?
I assume. You say you were
yes.
constructively evicted.
Yes, he...
But you didn't leave.
Yes, he has a couple of text messages in here where he says that he actually came up to the apartment to check things. He brought up when he first got there in November, we didn't have a working toilet until...
Just a second.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
So before he bought it, is that what you're telling me?
I mean, not before, I'm sorry. When he got the apartment in November, the previous owners, we were trying to contact to see who we pay for rent.
Just a second.
Okay, yeah.
He bought the duplex in November of 2020.
Yes.
Is what you're telling me, Mr. Jackson, that certain things weren't working prior to his purchasing the property?
No, I'm sorry. I want to take that back. After he purchased it, we didn't even know he purchased it because he was living downstairs, and my wife walked down there and asked, was he the landlord? And he just said that he was the building manager. So nobody even got rent for the month of November when we lived there, not him or even the previous people, because he didn't even come upstairs to introduce us.
Well,
but,
I wouldn't complain about that, sir, if you're ahead of the game so far. If you didn't pay rent for November. You didn't pay the prior landlord and you didn't pay him. So far you're ahead $750. Okay, keep going.
To go back to the November, So during November, our toilet got stopped up, like right before Thanksgiving.
So shortly after he purchased it, he hadn't been up in the apartment, right?
No, not
just
at all.
you, your wife, your teenage daughter, and the baby.
Yeah, and the kids.
Okay, and the toilet got stopped up, and
he brought in a plumber, and then the guy found out that my son put a little toy in there, and he actually got
so
the
the
out.
toilet was broken by your son. Okay, so now the plumber said, here's the toy. Kid threw a toy down the toilet. Not an unusual and
then the very next month in December, my son didn't put anything down there. The toilet started acting up again. It wouldn't flush for like all the way up until the next year, and it never got fixed. But it was from...
Well, you had to have, sir, you lived there with 3 adults. So there had to be a functioning toilet in the house.
It wasn't functioning.
So where did you go to use a functioning restroom?
Her mom lived up the street from us, so sometimes we lived up the street, or sometimes we would just still use the toilet.
Okay. You owe him $3,750 for rent that you didn't pay. Counterclaims dismissed. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I had to collect monetary judgment through the courts.
Him being the landlord, he left us like living in crappy conditions.
It was a unbearable situation that I was going through with the noise and the disturbances.
Yeah, he never came up there at all to fix anything.
And the destruction of the property.
He just started making up so many rules, to make it uncomfortable for us to live there.
Well, it was, it's pretty quiet now.
That man is crazy. I'm glad it's over with.
You know what I think is interesting, Sarah, with these cases, we've had a lot of them. The forgiveness that the government wanted to show to people who were having trouble during COVID, work-related trouble, didn't have the same income, and didn't want to have a whole bunch of dispossessed homeless people. It came from a good place, as did some of the monies that were sent out by the government to sort of help people over a difficult time during the height of COVID. But then there are other people who suffer as a result of that, like a landlord who buys a property, a duplex property. Part of it is for income so that they can pay off mortgage, taxes, lawn service, whatever you have to pay on a house. And then the defendants, who really had no changed circumstances that they indicated to me. He was working, she was getting whatever she gets from disability, which is not insubstantial. I don't know if they get any other assistance for any of their other children, but certainly they moved into a place that's more expensive now, that's not far away. They just decided not to pay rent. And I don't think that that is the spirit of what either the federal government or the states who enacted it meant to happen, because the plaintiff owner of this property has rights too. Yeah. You've taken away a right of his.
I agree to an extent, but I also think that that's more a problem on the government's implementation of the moratorium in the first place. That's what ended up hurting the landlord. These people were simply taking advantage of a legal loophole that was created for them. He was in the restaurant business, which, as we know, was one of the toughest hit by COVID.
Right.
She was on a fixed income that wouldn't be enough to cover, well, barely enough to cover the rent on its own. And then they have to support themselves, feed themselves. They have 2 children. So I'm sympathetic towards the taking advantage of a legal loophole. So I don't know, if I was in your position, I might have decided differently.
Okay.
But that's okay.
All right.